What's up, guys? Steve here, RSteve15. It has arrived. It's been 3 months. My apologies for the delay. I will explain in the video, why I took a little bit of a break, what led me to that, what's going through my mind, and everything else probably going on in my life and everything. It's not a big deal, but nothing bad happened. Please, I'm very sorry if you did think something bad happened or terrible happened. I will explain it throughout the video, give a little bit at the start, and you might have noticed the camera's a little bit different here. I have bought a little pocket camera. I am going to Japan later on in the week for a few weeks. And my plan is to go there, buy a whole bunch of cards, maybe get a little bit inspired by work so I can get into a little bit more, and just eat some good food, have a little bit of fun. So I'll talk more about that later as well. I can't wait to do that. It's going to be awesome. So I bought this little pocket camera. I can't really show you what it looks like, but it's called an Osmo Pocket 3. It's a great vlog camera and pretty good raving reviews, and it's a little bit better than walk around using your phone. Because if you use your phone while you're trying to record and you're also trying to use it throughout the day, it just gets used a whole bunch, battery gets drained, everything like that. So I bought a dedicated camera for it, and now I'm trying to use it before I go so I have a good idea. And if you haven't seen it down here, got a little bit of a microphone, so hopefully I didn't just mess it up just then, but I'm trying to test out this new microphone, plus I'll be using the microphone on this thing too. But that's for my own. Let me know how it sounds, let me know if you like it, let me know what you think the video looks like. Plus it has some sort of like face tracking thing, so I'm moving side to side and it's doing a thing. So yeah, why I took a break. So what happened? November, was it November? Early November, I was just feeling a little bit, I don't want to say burnt out, because burnt out is the wrong word. I chose this life. I choose to do the amount that I work. Well, I choose to do the amount of work that I want to do. I chose to take on various projects, and I chose to, do as much as I possibly can with every second of the day. So I wouldn't say I was like burnt out, but I think towards the end of the year last year felt like the end of like a 3 year craziness cycle, from like COVID starting and just pumping out just everything in business and just selling and selling and just I feel like it was coming to a, like, I'm not like selling's not coming to an end, but just like me in general, I was just like, okay, let's just figure out what we're trying to do here. Because I talk about goals, I talk about what I want, I always talk about, I want to get as many cards as possible, but I hit certain like financial goals and financial milestones that I never really thought I'd ever get. And I kind of woke up early November, and I was just like, what am I doing? I don't need any more anything really, realistically, for a long time. And I'm in an incredibly privileged position to be able to say that. And I'm just not just coming on here just to flex or brag or anything. It's just like me personally. I'm a guy. I was poor to the definition of having $200, $300 was the highest I had week on end for maybe 1, 2, 3 years. So I would say classify as like a lower middle class poor, I guess, because I still had a roof over my head. I was never like struggling, so I can't really you know put myself towards that level. But I never really needed much, and I still don't need much. Me and my partner, we live quite frugally. We might buy one or two expensive gadgets every now and then. We like to, play computer games and stuff. So we have nice stuff in general, but our day-to-day lives, we don't need much. So everything pretty much just get poured into buying and selling, and then everything else is just whatever. But I've reached a point where it's just like I don't even need to. I don't need to do anything. So it's like overwhelmed me in November. I was just like, I don't actually need to do anything. It was weird, like, you know what I mean? It just hit me. So I just stopped doing things. And, my YouTube channel, I was saying it for most of the year, this was like a year-long project. I wanted to pump out as much as I possibly could to see what could happen. And in the back of my mind, every time I make a video, every time I do anything on any social media, it's like this thing screams at me. And it's like, I don't want to be popular. And I know I'm I'm not even a small YouTuber if you really think about it. I have 5,000 subscribers, which is incredible for a guy like me. But so true as to the definition of the word, I am not popular. But me even having 100 people to interact with the things that I make personally makes me feel popular. I'm not no Max Mofo or anything like that. But to me, that's like, whoa. So, I'm not equipped to emotionally or whatever, or physically deal with the stress of handling that sort of stuff. And I've never really wanted to be popular. I've never wanted my opinion to be like something big. So it's not a big deal. What is this camera? The screen just went black. What's going on? Oh, it's still recording. It just goes black after 5 minutes. Okay. All right, that'll happen. As long as the button is flashing red, that's fine. We're learning curves. First time using this, learning curves. So, I'm in an identity crisis with my channel and whatever, that I don't want to be popular. So I don't know. I'll try to deal with that as the things go. If it gets too much for me, I don't know. I'll try to be more transparent about it. But I want this to be about me helping people do similar things to what I've done. Not too bad. And maybe even a place where people can come, throw a video on, relax. It's not a big deal. It doesn't have to be something super serious. I don't want to be selling courses. I don't want to be some sort of guru that shoves a Patreon down people's faces just to get an answer out of me. I'm still always active on Instagram. I'll always answer messages. I might get overwhelmed some days. There was some days where I had 100+ messages on Instagram when I woke up, and I didn't mind it, and I still don't, but it is like overwhelming. And the questions, they vary from, "Hey Steve, how are you going?" which is a great thing to ask, don't mind, to like, "Oh Steve, I have 25, 50, $100,000. Oh Steve, I just sold this investment property, and now I have this money. I want to put 50,000 or $100,000 into Pokemon." Which thing? It's just like, whoa, 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 boys. That's not what I'm trying to preach here, and that's not the advice I'm trying to give. I don't mind, maybe throwing a tiny bit of 2 cents, because I'd hate for you to like throw away your hard-earned money, but like, that is to me stressful on my back to be asked such crazy questions. So I hope that all makes sense. And that's me stop complaining. Hopefully my shirt doesn't come up during this. So let me know if you hear any scuffling with the microphone. I'll be rewatching the footage back, but not like the whole thing, because this is going to be a long damn video. I don't know how long this thing can record for personally. I have it plugged in, but let me know what you think of everything, because I am bringing this to Japan, and I'll talk about my Japan trip later on. Earn collects. Steve, how are you? Is life good? What's something you did lately that is memorable? Wow, that's a deep question. First thing, how am I? Now, over the past week, I'm doing great. I'm definitely doing better. Coming to terms with things, figuring out what I want more out of life, figuring out what I want more of personally, and just trying to be better than I was the week prior to that, everything in between. Is life good? Yeah, life's great. I'm incredibly blessed. I'm incredibly happy to be in the position I'm in. It's all things. Regardless of how I feel about whatever this channel and everything, I am over the moon with like how things have panned out. So life's great. We just got a new puppy 3 weeks ago. It is a baby corgi. Her name is Sylvie. So I'll probably be posting photos or showing her off in a video eventually. And what's something you did lately that is memorable? Honestly, my life is pretty low key. Nothing really does. I don't really do anything that's memorable. No, my life is, you could pull out like 100 days and you wouldn't know that there are actually like 100 different days. I don't really do anything too crazy, but I don't know. I mean, I helped a friend buy an item for like $30,000 online, and that was his most expensive thing he's ever bought before. I purchased it for him, and he paid me off over time. That was memorable. I got to help someone buy like a holy grail, and and I got to help them out, and with the position I was in, I got to help them. So that's not too bad. That's pretty memorable. Michael Duck 5208. My question for this video: thoughts on an interview with Pokemon Wonder? He has mentioned that he reached out to you. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure where he did. Instagram's probably the best place. I haven't been really doing too well at keeping up with like social medias and emails and stuff, but I'm gonna go through and double check. And if he hasn't, I'm sure you can reach out to me on Instagram and an interview. I'm not sure why I'd want to interview me out of all people, but yeah. And J Love and I going ahead with the pod. J Love is an incredibly busy man. He doesn't lead it on, throughout his social media and YouTube, but like what he does outside of Pokemon and playing the card game and making videos and going live streaming is incredible. He runs like the equivalent of 2 full-time jobs, plus he trains, plus he works out, plus he plays all these sports and everything. He is an incredible guy, and I would be blessed if he gave me an hour of his time every week. But nothing in life ever has to be now. It can be done at a later date. So if it has to happen, or if it needs to happen, it'll happen. But I'm not going to push him into it. He's not going to push me into it. If we want to do If we're going to do some videos together, we'll do it. He was here at my house, a few months ago, and we did do a pretty long, like 1-2 hour video. But other than that, it's up to him whether he wants to edit it and post it and get it all together. Not going to pressure him. I had heaps of fun when he was here. He's a great guy, honestly. One of the best in the business. And he's so nice. And he's so generous. Everything about him so good. All right, the Buffet Bar. That's a funny name. How do you manage the desire to grow your shop when you first start out? I don't know how to read that one. Specifically, this is going to be rough today. I'm going to struggle at reading our words. I hope me moving this paper doesn't make too much noise in this microphone. Specifically, I'm having a hard time sourcing decent inventory, and my impatience is kicking in, and I don't want to make a hasty move, but I also don't want paralysis by over-analysis. I've never heard that before. That's a crazy thing. That's something Dan, Gotta Catch 'Em All, would say. He's very smart, so that's a smart thing. I currently have $110 of capital I'm sitting on and another $50 to $100 in inventory. What would you recommend I do to move forward? Finally, is it a problem that I now open all packages with pull tabs as if I'm opening a pack of cards? That's not a problem. So, firstly, Buffet Bar, you're doing great. You're starting off, you wanted to do something. I would put as much energy into like finding, part-time work, full-time work, whatever you need to do before buying and selling. And with the amount of money you have, $110, and then you have $100 in inventory, you have more time than money, is what I can imagine. My advice to you, start an eBay store, TCG Player, anything, start selling $1 singles. Get the process down while you build up a little bit more money, getting it from working and other means, not trading cards. But get the process down, listing 20 cards in a day, listing 50 cards in a day, listing 100 cards. Selling $1 singles isn't fun. I sold 50, 60, 70, 100,000, I don't know how many. And I'm where I am because I put in that effort at the start and I understood how to grow. So now when I need to sell $100, $200, $300 any items, doesn't even matter $1 singles, they can just be items and I can just try and get them and put the effort into listing them. I learned from doing the $1, $2 over and over and over again, and then dealing with the uptick in customer engagement, the uptick in managing the store, making it look better, managing an inventory, making it easier to find stuff. You can't do that if you only have $100 and you're buying $10, $20 items, because you have 10 items, you just put them on a shelf or you just lay them flat. They don't take up that much space. But when you have 1,000 $1 singles, it can be anything, any common from any set, any rare from anything. Go back a year or two, go on Facebook looking to buy Sun and Moon bulk cards, paying 2 cents each, 3 cents for bulk. You might, I'm not saying it's going to work, but I'm saying even if you put a few hours in per week just to listing $1 singles, you might never even sell any. You're going to get better at the listing, pretty much. You're paying yourself, I guess. Or you're charging yourself your own time or something. I don't know the right word for it. So hopefully that can help. The Bulgarian, or that Bulgarian. Do you keep all the bulk forever, or do you lot it up after X amounts of months of those cards not selling? So any modern bulk, Japanese modern bulk, I don't really open English products, so I have Japanese modern bulk, I pretty much just throw it out. If it's not a rare, reverse holo, anything like that, anything special, a nice Pokemon, it just gets thrown out, and it hasn't bitten me in the butt yet. I've been opening packs quite frequently since maybe late, I'd say early Sword and Shield. Yeah. And if I wanted to get Sword and Shield bulk, I can still probably get it pretty easily, and it's still not worth anything. So maybe down the line, if you have some Sun and Moon bulk, X and Y bulk probably is not worth throwing out, but I wouldn't recommend opening those packs anyway. But yeah, just bulking it out straight away as soon as you have it is a lot better than keeping it aside and then bulking out. Again, just auction it off on eBay. Make sure you're charging the correct amount of postage. Just get rid of that stuff. Pokemon rips and pulls. Do you pay import charges on return part of the sub from PSA outside of the normal shipping cost? Many thanks, Steve. Yeah, in Australia you pay import charges when the items come back in, usually 10 to 15% if they feel like charging you an extra 5%, because sometimes they do, of the total grading fees. So if you paid $2,000 grading fees, you'll usually get charged whatever that amounts to, $300 here or there, plus an $80 FedEx fee. It's annoying, it sucks, but it is what it is. Are we still on here? I gotta find a way not to turn that screen off after that happens. Okay. Grumble Gamer 18. Do you ever track down cards for people? If so, what would you charge to find a card? I'm a niche collector, and my issue is because few people grade my favorite Pokemon in all their sets. When I finally do find one of them, people post it without the title low. People post it with the title low pop and upcharge the price by an insane amount. People don't understand that low pop doesn't always mean hunter grade, and sometimes it's Pokemon people interested in. Yeah, definitely. So Grumble Gamer, I don't personally track down cards for people, but I've had many people over time being like, "Hey Steve, I'm looking out for this certain rare item that's hard to find. They can't find it, so they're just mentioning it to me, and I'm looking to pay this. And if I ever see it, I'll engage with them and say, I found this at this price. I can get it to you shipped from Japan, whatever. I can have it shipped to you DHL through a middleman and just charge a little bit extra. I don't really go out of my way to find cards for people because it's just, they can find them pretty much as easy as I can. There's very few websites out there that not many people really know about, and even if they don't know about them, they don't have anything good. If there's a physical card in a store in Japan, you need to have people to be able to go in there for you. So even if you did know about the stores, you would still need to have a trustworthy person to go there, buy the card on your behalf, pay them the money, and then actually ship it out to the person. So it's a very niche case. I've done it very, very few times, but usually it's just like me drop shipping it to them rather than them paying me to find it. How do you gauge the market value of an item? Another question by Grumble Gamer 18. I'm going to need a drink before this one. That's for sure. How do you gauge the market value of an item? I mean, it's hard, right? So there's two ways. You can do it like I'm the seller, it's my item, I'm going to price it for certain reasons, or you can do it from the buyer's perspective of I'm looking for the item to buy, don't currently own the item, I'm going to search it up. So first place people usually go is eBay. If it's an item that's more than like $10, it's usually eBay is the best place to find like a definite value. Because if you go TCG Player, Troll and Turtle, these other places, for a 50-cent card, it'll probably be cheaper than eBay. So if you go eBay, market value usually is between the lowest listing of the card and the last sold, or the last few sold. It has to be between that. And on the seller's perspective, market value usually is as close to the lowest listing as possible. And from the buyer's perspective, it's usually as close to the last sold as possible. Because why would they pay more than it last sold for? And then the seller's saying, well, why would I sell it to you for less than the lowest listing? So it's a bit of a in between, depending on how badly the person wants it, how hard it is to actually find, whether many copies are listed. When you get up into the rabbit hole of $500, $1,000, $2,000 cards, maybe there's a $2,000 card listed and it's lowest listed $2,000, and you have yours at $2,500, but they have a PSA 10 that has very obvious whitening. It has a little bit of nicks on the corners, maybe a scratch on the hollow, and you're like, yo, mine's $2,500, but mine is like actually gem mint, and that 10 is not very good condition. Market value is just hard, and some auction houses sell things better than others, and some sell things worse than others, and maybe it's a Tuesday night and the buyers aren't looking, and maybe it's Saturday. There's so many different things. How do I personally gauge the market value of an item? Whatever the lowest listing is pretty close. If it has 5, 10, 15 listings. If it only has one listing, it's not really the lowest. It's just like that is the listing. But yeah, that's how I do it. Usually the lowest list. Grumble Gamer 18. What do you have in your personal collection? This is way better doing this leaning back on my chair, relaxing, than standing around. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, well, what do you have in your personal collection? Well, when I first started collecting and buying and selling Pokemon cards, I have a collection now that I never would have even thought was possible, because I have cards that I didn't even know were real 7 years ago. And if I think about it myself from my current perspective and my current position, my collection is nowhere near enough that I think personally. And there are many cards that I would love to add to my collection that I will never have the means to, and that might never even come up for sale. So what do I have in my personal collection? That's irrelevant. But how do I feel about it? I don't know. That's a good question. Henry Stump. Seriously, what is your favorite piece of grass to eat? I think I said something about eating grass in the last video. So, Yeah, what is my favorite piece of grass to eat? I mean, uh, back when I was younger, I was walking to school. I think I was like 8, 9, 10 years old. We'd walk to school. We'd pass these like really long stems of grass against these like homeowners' fences, and they were like 1.5 meters, 2 meters tall stems of grass, and they would be like quite thick, like a lemongrass sized, so like quite thick pieces of grass. It might even just be lemongrass now that I'm thinking about it. And we'd break them out of the ground and then snap them in half, and he would eat them, and it would taste like sugar. So that one. Just Jack 21. Would you ever consider live streaming your sorting videos? I think that would be a nice chill environment to interact. I realize this might lean towards one particular time zone, though given your daily schedule, I understand if not, but people can still watch it afterwards. So I have actually considered live streaming, just in general, whatever, throughout the day, answering questions, having a laugh, joking around. But the problem is, with a proper video, I can sit down, get it all done. I usually work between 11 and 11 a.m. to 3 a.m. So the whole day, I have tons of distractions coming in constantly, phone calls, emails. I got to do my orders. I got to go out. Got to go to the post office. Everything like that. I got shipments coming in all throughout the day, multiple couriers all the time. So I need to be able to address all those things. So if I'm doing a live stream and then I'm constantly having to get up, sit down, get up, sit down, get up, sit down, it's just going to be a bad experience in general. Screen is black. Oh man, that throws you off. So it's a bad experience, though, I think, if I was to do it. If I can sit down and just do it, let's say I mess up a take, or let's say I spilt cards everywhere, I could just unrecord it, go again. That's all I could really say on that. I mean, I'll do it one day. Maybe when I'm in Japan, I'll throw up some live streaming things, or I'm in the hotel at night time, or before I'm about to leave, I can throw it up and I'm go on my phone, see how it goes. But I don't. I also don't really think it's a great use of time personally to sit there and talk to 10, 20, 30, 40 people. As great as it might be, I'm pretty busy, and the videos that I record are usually like 2, 3, 4 a.m. and I can just put them in that time and feel great about it. So, yeah. Andy Fam 261. Do you see SV151 going up in value like EV Heroes? I mean, I can see the booster boxes being more desirable in the future. I don't think the single cards are going to go crazy. Maybe some Master Balls, maybe some alt arts, but even EV Heroes, the cards aren't that expensive. They're still $150 to $200 for alt arts. PSA 10s like 200 to 300. Just the Umbreon VMAX alt is really the crazy card in that set. 151. I mean, it's Pokemon 151. I mean, people are going to say whatever they want to say. It's 151. It's probably not one of the better sets that they've released in recent times. So I guess you could bet on it. I think you'd probably be better off just like trying to buy and sell it over and over again because it has a decent amount of demand, rather than buying it and just sitting there. Because if you just sit there, you don't really learn anything. You don't really get anything from it if you just sit it in a corner. And if you have the amount of money to sit in a corner, then maybe you should be putting your investment money into like decent investments that I'm not qualified to talk about. Peanut6237. Best time of the year to sell Q1, 2, 3, 4. For instance, avoiding Christmas time due to funds being short for the holidays. Best time of the year to sell. I think, I'm not really going to answer the question that well, to be honest, but I think it's backwards thinking. I think every time you do work, it needs to set you up for the future. So I don't think there's ever a best time to sell. I mean, obviously people spend a lot of money around Christmas on stuff. It might be on Pokemon card gifts. It might be on Pokemon merchandise, Pokemon boxes, etc. But if you're looking to do this sort of like longer term, like my store, I have thousands of cards listed on both stores. Nothing really gets more or less demand other than like from crazy outside elements of hype and whatever for certain Pokemon or certain things maybe. But outside of Christmas, orders might pick up, but people spend a lot of money over Christmas, so maybe they don't buy as many cards. You can kind of take it both ways if you really like. But I think there should be best time of year to list, and that's every day. Best time of year to work on yourself, work on your business, work on your store. That's every week, it's every month, making sure you get a certain amount done everything. You can't be like, oh, I'm not going to list these because I'm going to wait for Christmas. It's going to be like, best time of year to sell is something that's probably more catered towards like going out to physical events and trying to find people rather than selling online. Because selling online is great for selling 365, 24/7. That's the best advice. Andy Lopez, is this the same shirt you're wearing in your profile picture? Actually, in my last video, my mustard shirt, I have 3 of those, and it's Kimberly's least favorite shirt of mine. She hates the mustard shirt, and I wear it all the time just to make her upset. It's kind of funny. So she just hates the mustard shirt, and it's so small on me too. It's actually like so small, that shirt. Oh my god, because I'm fat now. I'm a fat boy. So how about before I go too far in, let's talk about Japan. Let's talk about Japan, and let's talk about, how do I say this? So for those still watching, 25 minutes in, I'm sure that hopefully there's a few of you. I'm going to Japan in a few weeks, and the plan is to go for 14 days, and it's focused on buying trading cards. And I want to do as much recording as possible, or vlogging, I guess. I've never done it before, but I'm going to pick up the camera and record myself walk around, look like an idiot. I'm going to do my best. And I'm going to do, whole, like, me waking up, whatever, going to get food, going to card stores, buying stuff, finding stuff, maybe I'm talking about things, just the general process. What I won't be doing is trying to highlight the best place to buy cards, as it just doesn't really exist, personally. I don't think so. But I'm going to be trying to hit as many spots as possible and going to as many different places as possible. Some places I'll probably, show the address and I'll show where it is and where you can go. Some places I probably won't show the address, and some places I probably won't show, how you get there, rather than like a picture of the front of the store or something like that. Because I have people helping me with locations and telling me, like, you can go here, you can go there, you can go to this town, maybe check out this store. And it's not really genuine of me if just to, leak everything they've given to me in kind of confidence and whatever. So you can call me a gatekeeper, I don't really care. But I will be just generally showing the journey, showing things I pick up, and why I buy certain things. I'll talk about them, and maybe that can help. Maybe that can extract some information out of me when I'm actually like in the zone. Personally, I will say I do not think going to Japan to buy cards in person is good, especially when it comes to if you actually want to. I think there's enough online all around the world. I don't even think buying from Japan online is as good as buying from other countries when it comes to buying Japanese cards these days, as the prices are just so much higher in Japan. And in person, it's even higher than the prices online because they're businesses. They have to pay rent, they have to pay for employees, everything like that. You're not just buying off a random person. So that doesn't mean there's nothing. There might be some oddities and some rarities and some random stores that I might not even know exist. I want to try and pick up more than just cards. I want to buy, Yu-Gi-Oh cards too. I want to buy merchandise. I want to buy plushies. I want to buy whatever I can find. Plus, I've just never really done it. I've been to Japan twice. I went with my partner both times, and we explored Japan more than me just going to card stores. Now, this will strictly be me going to card stores with a friend of mine. It's going to be fun. Not a lot of stores actually like you filming inside the stores, so I might not even get to show much. It might even the videos might never even come out because it might just be a bust. I might get there, hold my camera, they say you can't come in. I say okay, and then you see hundreds of videos of me eating Nutella waffles or Nutella pancakes or anything I can get my hands on with Nutella on it because I'm going to go crazy on Nutella. So yeah, that's the Japan plan. If you don't think that's a good plan, hit me up on Instagram. Don't write in the comments or anything. Just message me. Be like, yo, Steve, good idea with Japan, bad idea. Don't do 14 videos. Steve, I think it's good to do 14 or whatever because I just want to have each video secluded. Like, this is like episode 1, 2, not episodes, but day 1, 2, 3, all the way up to me coming home and then finally showing off everything I picked up and how much I spent. And then I'm going to add all the videos together and then release one mass video too. And it probably will be a few hours long for people that just want to click on that video eventually and do that. I think that's a great way for me to document each day in Japan. Great way for me to document just my life in general for this Pokemon card stuff. And maybe I can highlight certain areas better with day-to-day things because I'm going to be going from Tokyo to Osaka to Kobe to Kyoto to a few other places, Yokohama. It's not going to just be, this is Tokyo card shopping 14 days and just check out the most popular places that everyone goes to. So might be good, might be bad, might be terrible. I might hate vlogging and everything else in between. I've adjusted the camera a little bit now, just checking out the footage. I want to see how this looks in like post and editing and chipping, like clipping and putting everything together. I want to test this microphone a little bit. It's like really far down. Can I show this? I cannot show this. How do I? It doesn't let me because I got the face track thing on, I guess. Well, there's a microphone attached to my shirt, but it's pretty far down. I want to see what that sounds like. Everything like that. So let's keep going with these questions and see how we go. Andy Lopez 8480. What's the perfect Subway sandwich order? I mean, it's BMT. If you don't eat BMTs from Subway, I just don't even go to Subway. Go to somewhere else. I'm gonna move this back a little bit. We'll try that out. Move this back a little bit. And then, any general guidelines on how to negotiate when attempting to buy bulk Pokemon cards? How do you identify when to walk away from a seller who will not compromise? Whew, that's crazy. Any general guidelines on how to negotiate when attempting to buy bulk Pokemon cards? Depends what you mean by bulk. If you're looking to buy collections, then you should know the general value of everything. Like, you should know a decent idea of how much you can kind of get for everything when you list it, and after fees, and adjust for, like, how long it might take, etc. So you can't really go into a deal. Someone's got a collection. You're just like, just throw me a number. Just throw me a number. Or if they throw you a number, you're like, that's too much. You have to know. I like to use like a 10% rule. It sounds greedy, but if I'm buying someone's whole collection and just taking all the cards off them and just giving them money straight up front, they don't have to do anything. They have no risk. They just got to send the cards to you. That's it. I like the idea of having 10% of the collection. Once I finally piece it out and upload it all online, I should be able to get my money back slowly over time from 10%. And that doesn't mean 10% value of the collection. That means 10% of like the cards. So there might be that, it's hard to explain, but that 10% might be like 70% of the value of the collection, but it was only 10% overall of the amount of cards. So like, I don't have to do the whole collection of selling it to even come close to breaking even. I hope that makes sense. And I have not walked away from enough deals in my life. I've always just went way too hard, and it was like, oh, I'm the big boss. I can buy everything. So, I don't walk away when I see a certain thing. It's fine to walk away. If someone thinks their things are worth a certain amount, it's not really within our rights to like be like, oh no, I can't make money from your cards, so I'm not going to buy them. If you don't think it's a great deal, other people probably aren't thinking it's going to be a great deal, and they're not going to sell. It's not the end of the world. I have to move this over here because there's a light behind that, and that is a quite thing. How do I look in this? Oh man, do I look bad or do I look good? That's crazy. It follows your face. Isn't that funny? No one watches anyway, but it's whatever. Would you attribute your fascination with turning a profit to your early days buying and selling items on RuneScape? Oh, for sure. When I was like 9 or 10, I was going crazy on like World 1, World 2, just selling items in RuneScape, paying for membership through like my phone credit and using that, or like getting charged to like the house bill and then doing chores to pay that off to my parent. It's, yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it is like a genuine addiction to like buying and selling and getting that feeling, and it is like there's nothing else like it. I don't, what did I sell earlier? On my single store, I sold like an $8 near mint common from base set, and I'm just like, fuck yeah, you know what I mean? I'm just like, fuck yeah. it's $8, right? It's a lot. It's not a lot to some people. I don't care. I went out, I got those cards, I looked at them, I took a risk on buying them. I listed them. I listed some near mint ones a little bit higher than I would normally because no one else had any near mint ones listed. I get to cherish the rewards of the fruits of my labor, and I got that $8, and it felt good. So yeah, that's all it really is. The Hoenn Bazaar. What advice do you have on listing cards faster? I just spent 2 entire days listing around 100 graded cards. This doesn't include taking photos. I was just entering the info into eBay, price checking, and selecting photos I had already taken. After a while, my brain numbs and I feel like I'm moving at 10% speed. Yeah. So, what I like to do with eBay listings is, how do I phrase this? So, what I like to do is do as much upfront work as possible. So, Oh man, I have a camera that I can just move around. My desk is incredibly messy right now, but I'm pretty sure if I press this button 3 times, it will show my light, and then I press that twice. Move this up or down. Sorry about this, it's a bit scuffed. So I have cards here that are prepared to list. And right here, we have some Giraffarigs, some Neo Destiny cards, Light Jolteon, everything. So these are all Neo Destiny cards. These are all for the single store. We use these tiny little IKEA boxes to transport everything around. Everything's within reason. It's all pre-checked, all that other kind of stuff. So you'll see here, this box is like all kind of Team Rocket cards. You can see the Grimers, Zubats, etc. So this is Team Rocket cards that I have to pre-check into played, Nimin, and damaged condition. That's the conditions I use when I'm listing online. So I have all these cards that are just Team Rocket bulk, some holos here and there, maybe somewhere in the Dark Alakazam. It's a Drowsy. What else we got? Yeah, bro. You get the idea. This is just Team Rocket cards. What I do then is I separate them into condition. And then when it comes to listing, I can do all the near-min Abras. It changes so much. So the near-min Abras, let me set this up again. Just getting used to this. Sorry about that. Sorry about pointing out the line. So like when I have it completed and sorted, I have near mint, played, and damaged cards. So when I'm listing, I know my near mint cards that are commons from Rocket, they might be listed at $6, $7, $8, $9. I have a general, a general rule of thumb, other than it's like Dark Flareon, Dark Vaporeon, stuff like that. But I know of a general price guide that I'm going to be putting them in. I'm not going to be looking up prices in all these cards because I just, I've been doing this for a while. I bought these cards to sell, so I have a general idea of what they're actually going to, sell for. So I have an idea. And when I get to the played cards, I'm like, they're played. I'm just trying to, get rid of these $2, $2.50 each. So I have an idea. It's different. You mentioned, like, you're doing 100 PSA cards. It's a little bit harder to know the values, but if you've pre-sorted them, you have 100 cards, and you're like, okay, all these cards are $50, all these cards are $60, all these cards are $70. I scan these first 10, these are all like $70, whatever, whichever way you want to do it. Or I scanned all these cards, and these are all normal type, these are all grass type, these are all fighting type. And then when you put them away, you put them in the grass type box and the fighting type box. You do a lot of pre-sorting, not just like listing them and then sorting them, because it puts the time you spend on the computer. It's a little bit less. It's not a lot less, but it's a little bit less, and it feels better to be up and about, moving things around, rather than sitting there on the computer, kind of just going a little bit crazy. Because I get crazy too when I do it. So I hope that makes sense. Feel free to ask more on that, and that's pretty much what I do. And my box is over here. Oh, I love the fact that I can just pick this up. I hope that doesn't show how dirty my office is. So we turn this around. My box is on my shelf with my inventory listed. It's, they're separated by typing. We have, grass, water, fire, normal. When I list PSA cards, I list normal type cards, and then I list them from A to Z when I'm doing the scans. So then when I goes to putting them away, it's super easy. I can just put away. That's my vacuum cleaner. I actually vacuumed for the first time in a long time. So I hope that makes sense. It's the same with the single cards. It's the same with everything, really. Is you try to cut down on time spent. I hope I didn't just ruin the microphones by grabbing that. So I have to learn. I'm learning with this camera. I really am trying to learn. So next question, Perp Futures. I have 4 questions for you, Steve. Where do you get your cards from? How would you invest in Pokemon? How do you do your taxes? And if you could have one Pokemon as a pet, which one would you choose? Oh, probably a Pikachu or an Eevee, to be honest. But there's some funny questions before. Which Pokemon would you choose? I don't know. Like, would you choose one that's going to be a good, because it depends. Is battling real? What's life like? Like, do you get a useful Pokemon that maybe a fire type, it can make fires, or you get an electric Pokemon, you don't have to pay an electricity bill anymore? Like, do we live in our current lives just with Pokemon thrown in? It's too much. Maybe one for flying. Flying would probably be like the biggest time save. So a Pokemon that would know fly. Any of them. Dragonite would be good. Dark Truth 1. Would you consider yourself a scalper? That's a, oh man. You could sometimes. Sometimes there are things that I try to buy and take advantage of when they're released. But in general, most of the things that I like to, buy and sell and get into are 6, 12, 18 months, a little bit older. They've calmed down. Then I can really start getting into them, being like, okay, how much demand does this really have? How much does this really have going for it? What are the prices really like? I mean, I'm not gonna say I haven't like bought things on release and then sold them, but it's not really like what I like to do because there's no real. You're just playing off hype. There's no skill. I like to do skillful stuff. So like it's planned, it works, and then I can redo it. You can't really redo hype because you're planning on hype. Listing $2 singles is not really a hype thing or a scalper thing to do, to be honest. So I wouldn't really consider myself as a scalper, but I'm sure other people think that if I have 100, 200, 300, 500 copies of one item or one card, I might be a scalper. I mean, fuck them. Kind Wanderer 94, I've learned so much from you. I greatly appreciate the videos. Most people would try to put this info behind a paywall and milk their audience for everything they're worth. I don't know why I put that in there. I only put questions. There's a whole bunch of really nice statements, especially on this last video from everyone checking on me and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, I'm at a point in my life where I don't really need to like milk people. Does that make sense? That's bad. Should I cut that out? I'm at a point in my life where I don't really need to do that. And I don't really have that many services that I can offer that will like mentally be worth it for me to charge people. So yeah, I mean, maybe I'm an idiot, maybe I'm not, but YouTube pays me. YouTube has paid me like $5,500 since I started getting paid at February last year. So in 1 year, I've made $5,500 from YouTube. I think like 1,500 to 2,000 from the affiliate links. I don't really know how to access that. I haven't really looked into it. Plus, I don't really care, but that's just, I tried. I have a few affiliate links in my descriptions for my friends because it benefits them. It's not a big deal. And yeah, YouTube pays. I don't really need people to pay me because YouTube pays. If you watch it and I can help you, that's great. And then YouTube pays. Isn't that just hilarious? Like, I can talk to you. You can ask me a question. I can help you. Makes me feel good. I get to help you. YouTube pays me. Makes me feel good. You don't have to do anything other than just get help and get asked questions. And YouTube pays. So it's pretty good. Thanks, Google. Blue Green 391. Is 65 Australian dollars a good price to buy the Detective Pikachu Japanese promo? Or would you wait longer for a price drop? So this is 3 months ago. I actually looked up the price of those after this comment, and the price is around $30 Australian for this card if you were to buy it from Japan. So 65 Australian dollars is probably not the best price, but if you just wanted the card, one of them, it's not a big deal. I will say with all these like game promos that come out, you buy a game, you get a Switch game, you get any DS game, anything like that. It's for newly released, there's millions of them, and the card is going to really struggle to ever be worth more than what the game was purchased for because you get the card and the game. So just keep that in mind. 65 Australian dollars is roughly the price of the game. So that's pretty much a high point for that. But, maybe a few years' time, you could see those things be. But if you just wanted one copy, yeah, 65, it would have been fine to buy that if you did buy that. If you didn't, it's not a big deal. Go buy one for less now. FC Wham. Could you walk through some rough numbers on a population of 100 sourced modern raw cards? How many end up being worth submitting to PSA? How do you recover dollars on the ones you don't submit? You talked about bulk selling nines that come back, but I don't think I've heard about you talk about the ones that should not be submitted. Also, when we look at the PSA 10 rate, we should be expecting to be lower than that. When we source raw cards, people would already be pre-screening just like us. How much would you mentally adjust down? That is an insane question. That is even a question, even with a paywall, we probably wouldn't be able to answer. I will say this. If you were trying to buy 100 copies of a card and grade it, so you have the means, let's say the card's worth $10 and you want to grade them at $15. You have the means to put $2,500 into something and you don't already know what it's like to kind of mass submit cards. I would say firstly stay away from it because it's a terrible idea. Regardless, even if you get 100 10s, you still probably will break even or slowly make profit years afterwards, unless you have the best method of selling possible. And you can just do a lot better buying like 5 to 10 a little bit more expensive cards that you don't have to compete with every Tom, Dick, and Harry on eBay, Facebook, Instagram, etc. Because everyone's submitting all these modern cards, Japanese, English, regardless. So that's my advice. Don't just don't. Just don't do that. But in saying that, I'm going to try and answer the question a little bit. If you've got 100 cards, let's say they're just Japanese raw cards. I don't really know much about English. I know it's a way worse, quality wise. But you'd probably assume a 65 to 70% rate just buying it from random locations. That can be, I would say that. But if you're intending to buying 100, you should assume that they will be 0 10s, English or Japanese. You should assume. How do I say that word? Assume. I'm going crazy. I'm just sitting here talking to I'm going crazy. So you should assume you would get none. So you should know what you need to do to sell at least 100 raw cards. 10, 20, work it at a time. To be like, okay, if I buy these at this price, how much can I sell them for? All raw, in case this really doesn't work out. And then you start there, and then you're okay, if I only need to sell 90 and I can grade 10 of them, how much is the 10 selling for? Is it worth grading 10 of them? So I'm not going to do all the math for you, but start from 0 and then work upwards rather than starting from 100 and seeing like, is it worth it at 80? Is it worth it at 90? Is it worth it at like 70 cards graded PSA 10? Work from the ground up to see what it's like, because you're going to have to sell at least one raw card if you're buying them to grade them, if you buy 100, because they're not all going to be 10s. It's just how it is. So try to replicate selling the raw thing, because that can get your money back the fastest, to be able to do the same thing again. I hope that helps. Camel Bulk. I noticed that you only do buy it nows on both your stores. Do you oppose using auctions for yourself and on newer sellers to build feedback and reputation? Maybe start bidding at your own break-even price. That's great things to do, Camel. I have multiple videos on auctions versus buy it now, and I have a few other videos extra on auctions. I think they're great for everyone to do. I should be doing more auctions now. I'm just wasn't really in the mood for it to like force sales unnecessarily, because I didn't really need much funds for my business, and just stacking up more money just means, more GST and more things of tax that I have to pay. So it's not the biggest thing that I want to try and focus on. But yeah, auctions are amazing. In general, they've always been great through every era of selling. They usually end in the lowest price, but they usually end in getting your money back as fast as possible. And if you've done well buying the certain things and got some lucky grades, auctions can come in handy of really churning out that money. Okay. Is this the same question? I think so. I've also seen decent success with singles on Mercari compared to eBay. I know it's not available to you in Australia, but curious are your thoughts on sites like Mercari that are basically reverse auctions. I think you're talking about Mercari US. I'm sure many of us have used this to buy through proxy addresses and shipping services, but curious your thoughts as a seller on those platforms. So I've never sold on anything other than eBay on my own website, Instagram, Facebook privately. I've never tried these other websites because they're not really available to me. But, you can approach eBay with the same thing as a Mercari. You can start at high and adjust down every single day. I'm pretty sure if you adjust by 5% on eBay, it sends emails to buyers, to people that have clicked on the listing or are watching it also. So it's a great thing to do to drop prices rather than doing a sale, because it will trigger, an email, a message, something like that, reminder of someone's eBay account. But yeah, just in general, doing more will result in doing more. I mean, look at the biggest retailers in the world. Do they just create the store and then just sit there? Just think about it. Think about like the biggest clothing brands. Think about the designer brands. Think about all these things. They don't just have the store sitting there unless they're so popular they don't need to, or unless you're a supermarket, even though they still need to drop prices, raise prices, move things around, offer better deals. And supermarkets actually have necessities that we need to live every single day. And they are still doing marketing tactics to get us through the doors. There's so much competition, but does that make sense? Doing more is always going to amount with a change in results rather than just, listing and forgetting. Earn collects. Steve, I have some serious questions for you. Would love to hear you walk us through memory lane. All right, I'm taking a glass of water for this. I wonder what that sounds like on the microphone. I'm keen. Which Call of Duty did you spend the most time playing? I thought these were going to be serious questions. What did you like the most about it, dislike the most? So the main Call of Duty I played was Modern Warfare 2 that I can remember. I didn't play many after that. I was a Halo guy. Halo 2, Halo 3. Halo 3 matchmaking. Tens of thousands of games played. I was in. I was in Halo 3. I was Halo 3. I was a Master Chief. I was a Spartan. So, which COD did you despise the most? None of them, because I only really played Modern Warfare. So yeah, I hope that helps you with your serious question. Chow Poison Cube Head. I'm going to buy English TCG Classic boxes at $2.80 when they're on sale from big box retailers. Keep the energies and sell as many cards as possible and then buy another classic box. Going to have a look into the details more, but I'm considering it a lot since the main big three cards cover most of that, plus most cards sell for like $2 and I would be happy to keep anything that doesn't sell. Well, that's great. If you're buying them and you like the cards and you're happy to keep anything that doesn't sell, it's a great thing moving forward. I also did this with my classic collection. I bought them. I sold the main cards as fast as I could so I could buy more. And when I'm going to Japan, if I see some sealed packs of classic collections, I am running low on some cards. I probably will pick up a few because I do generally think you can get 60 cards in a pack and you can sell 3 of the cards for 70-80% of the value. You can build a pretty decent inventory. It's going to take a long time to sell, but they're nice cards. They look great. And unless they bring out a classic collection with cards that look the same, we're probably not going to be in a predicament where you're going to have cards that are very similar to those. So that's a good idea. Misfit Willie. That's a funny name. Misfit Willie. Hey Stephen, seeing your older videos when you graded with CGC, when and why did you switch to PSA? I understand PSA slabs usually sell for more, but I personally don't like PSA slabs or how they run their business. As someone who is wanting to start flipping graded cards, who would you recommend going with? Thanks, keep up the content. So, I've been grading cards since 2016, Misfit Willie, and PSA was the only thing. The main reason why I used CGC when they first come out was PSA was closed. They closed in 2020 and they reopened again late 2020 and they closed again in 2021 and they reopened late 2021. CGC came out late 2020. I think PSA reopened in 2021 February. Sorry about this. I had to stop the device because it did say device overheating. Are you recording? I think so. Yeah. So where was I? So I explained, I think I was on about, PSA, CGC. PSA closed, CGC was open. I first tried out CGC. I was one of the first in the world to send to them. I sent to them, a week before they officially opened because I had a friend who was grading with them and I kind of got invited to grade a few cards. And I was very fortunate for that. And I was very hopeful. I feel good. I feel good that that happened. And I was very lucky. First hiccup of the video. So I graded my first batch, 100 cards. Got them back, as a reseller, listed them online. A few of them started to sell, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good. Sent another 100, started to sell. Sent another 100, started to sell. And they were going so fast that I would send cards from Australia. It would get there. They'd be graded in 2-3 days, and I would get them back. Like, if I sent them on Monday, I would get the cards back sometimes on, Friday the next week. That's how fast. They were using UPS to ship them back. It was 2-day shipping. It was incredible. And usually express packages from Australia take 4 days. So send on Monday. They would get to the US on Friday because they're a day behind. It's kind of confusing. And then they would grade them and send them out Wednesday, Thursday. And I would get them back usually maybe the next week or the week after. And I was churning and burning. And you got to understand, my last PSA submissions were 9, 10, 11 months still in grading. So as someone who got 600-700 card submission back in August 2020 of PSA cards, pretty much perfect timing, changed my life. And I had a decent amount of cards purchased with the money from those sales, and I had a lot of cash to pay for my grading fees. I graded some cards at CGC. It was $7.20 when they first came out, and I was using them. Over time when PSA reopened, things kind of slowed down as well. In general, the general trend with CGC was the grading was pretty harsh, and I would send in 100 cards and I'd get 3 or 4 10s, and I would get 40 9.5s and 39s and 7 8.5s and 3 8s and 2 7s and all these other things. And I would think the cards personally were 9 to 10 conditions. And I don't mind harsher grading. I think it's probably better overall for the health of everything. It's not better as a seller. Highest grades are the best for a seller because you get a higher grade and then people pay more money and all these other things in between. But the reason why I started using PSA again, because when I sent more cards to PSA, it took like 3 or 4 months to come back. 99 out of 100 PSA 10s, 150 out of 160 PSA 10. And I was like, oh, this is what it feels like. So unfortunately, as a seller of graded cards and as someone who likes to grade cards, you're kind of forced to using PSA if you want the maximum return on a mass scale. If you're just selling a few graded cards, there's thousands, hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of people that still love CGC. They buy the cards. I love the new Pristine 10, the way it looks. I wish they opened with that. And the Gem Mint, having the 10, the 9.5, the 10, and the 10 again. Oh, it was all too much right at the start, but it was the only option. So, it wasn't terrible, but like now it's way better. The cases look amazing with CGC. I still love it. But as a seller, I like to keep all my things uniform. I don't want to send 10 cards to CGC and get like a 10 perfect or pristine, and then a 10 gem mint, and then two 9.5 gem mints, and then one 9, and then have like 6 or 7 different grades of the same card that will almost likely be PSA 10. And that is a problem with PSA, but it's just how it is. That's my honest opinion. I'm not saying PSA has way too easy grades or anything, but just comparison to CGC when I use them, definitely felt easier to achieve the higher grade. So I like to have things uniform, and it's easier just to use PSA. I hope that makes sense. And when it comes to, I don't really. No, I think I've said enough on that. When it comes to people who've been collecting for a long time, they already had a lot of PSA cards, so it's like really hard to force them to do different grade companies. In my collection, I have CGC and PSA. I don't give two shits about what I have in my collection. But some people, they're a little bit more, serious about having the same thing always. Matthew Wong 9334. Advice! It's in capitals, it says advice. I recently got back into Pokemon about 2 years ago. I have about $15,000 in modern alternate Vs that I bought as investments. Well, what's going on with this question? As you know and state frequently, Pokemon investing doesn't make margins that all the videos state. I'm torn between holding onto the cards versus selling them, all to provide capitals for my business. I'm mainly a collector, but I've been leaning into the business aspect. So when you say business, do you mean your Pokemon trading card selling business? I think that's what you mean. Short summary, should I sell my investments, which will break even or lose a little, in order to provide capital for my business? Look, I think what you're coming to realize is a very powerful thing, is that, you bought things, didn't pan out. The ability to realize when something's not panning out and to cut it short and then focus on something else is incredible. Some people don't have that ability. Some people will hold on to things for dear life and they'll just lose the whole way down. And they'll wait 5 years and then sell it for the same price they paid, rather than just selling it for 10% less 1 year, 1.5 years later. Now, sometimes if you hold for longer, things can change. I'm not an investor. I can't give you any advice on that. But I know, as someone who likes to actively buy and then sell, touch as many things as possible, put my fingers in as many pies as possible, I personally think it is more beneficial to you as not only a Pokemon card business, whatever you want to say it is, as a person, your brain gets like way more stimulated when you're actively doing something, getting a constant feedback loop from buying something $10, sold it for $13, I made $1.50 after fees. It's not much, it's honest work. Learning about that. Okay, how do I do that again, but maybe do it multiple times? How do I do that again? Maybe get it up to 15. Or how do I get the item for 8? Makes you think. When it comes to investing, you're just like, oh, I'm picking up all these things because I think they're going to go up. And then, what do you just put them in a box? Like, I have stuff like that I have bought and I have graded. I have 10s. And I'm just like, I think this is going to be worth more later. It is not worth selling now because I'm in a different position to most. I don't want the funds now, but like, it still plays in the back of my mind. Like, look, Steve, I can just sell that now, get some profit, and then do it again with something else. But some of the things are a little bit harder to come by, and I want to keep them. So it depends on where you're at. I think personally, I don't want to give you advice. But sell half of them, see what you can do. Don't sell at all. Sell 10%, see what you can do. List them, and then maybe see how you like seeing that kind of stuff. Maybe you can be a alternate art seller and just be king of the alternate arts and always be like buying them and selling them and being the alternate art guy. So maybe this is a new thing for you. So I hope that helps. Bomb Vial. Bomb Vial. Is that the word? Steve, can we get a full 3-hour video of you telling funny stories or something while sorting cards? I'd love to hear some good ones. I mean, I'd love to, but I don't have that many funny stories. But I'm hoping you enjoy the Japan videos. I'm hoping the videos will be like 10 to 15 minutes long for each day, and I'll try to make them a little bit entertaining. I have no idea what's going to go on with those. I'm going to try my best. That's all I can say. I'm going to try my best. That might not be good enough. But, yeah, there's a piece of plastic down there. I hope that doesn't make noise. Yeah, I don't know if I'll do a 3-hour video of me doing funny stories, but I'll do more sorting videos. I'll do some condition checking videos. I'll be talking. I'll be here. Definitely going to be better to do it when it comes to winter time in Australia, because having the aircon on destroys my voice. Currently, it is 29 degrees Celsius outside, and it's midnight, and my office is cooking. It is cooking in here. Even with the aircon on 22, I am sweating balls. So it's bad. Maverick Beneto 8164. I know you always say not to sell cards as your only job, but to do it on the side, and I absolutely agree with you on that front. But what if you really wanted to do it as your main thing? You're young and still living with your parents with every single necessity taken care of. Would your stance change on the matter? So Maverick, I'm going to give you some tough love here. If you're in the position where you're living with your parents and you have every single necessity taken care of, my stance would be harsher than ever. If you are given that opportunity to have people provide for you and give you everything, roof under your head, everything like that, roof over your head, everything like that, you owe it to them to give 110% to everything you could do. You don't have to have a job as a full-time thing to be as your main thing. If you want trading cards to be your main thing, you can have a trading cards as your full-time job. But you can still work full-time. You can still work 40 hours a week. If you don't have to worry about the bills or the rent, maybe even the food, you owe it to everyone around you to like become a god and get as much exposure to everything and experience and everything. You don't really get the luxury of just sitting away risk-free kind of in your room, office, whatever, and being able to just sell your cards and being like, it's fine if I don't get something done today. Like that's the difference between, when I was building my stuff to maybe some other people. If it didn't work out for me, it was really bad. If I didn't reach certain things, if I didn't go to work, I wouldn't be able to live. If I bought a collection and it didn't work out, it's really fucking bad for me back then because I was paying rent and living by myself. It's a big difference in like being put in that position. Now, I'm extremely jealous that you're able to be put in that position. You might be younger. But don't waste it. It can't happen forever. If you could stack a job on top of selling cards, once you start getting the income money in, maybe you don't have to do the whole $1, $2, $5 card grind like I mentioned. I still think you should try to do that because it's fun and it works. But just remember that this is an opportunity, not something that you can take advantage of. It is something that you should be using to push yourself further, not be able to pull back and be like, okay, I can just do Pokemon and not work a job. You should work a job. It gives you incredible skills of dealing with people, even the worst jobs you could even think of. And I don't know what they were, but working at McDonald's. I've seen McDonald's workers. I have met McDonald's workers that have then gone on to finish their degrees and now they're whatever accountants, lawyers, etc. And they are like the difference between people that were put into these, fast food worker jobs that then went on to try harder and harder. And it's incredible. They're like incredible young adults that like are dealing with like, pretty high pressure situations. You can say fast food is not high pressure. You try working at like a Sunday night McDonald's and you got 2 to 3 staff members and there's like 400 cars out the drive-through and there's kids running to the restaurant. There's lots of stress going on and you're like 17. So yeah, the things that you get from working that you'll never get from working by yourself. I got certain amount of those things from working at my job at the supermarket. I had some really easy days. I had some really hard days. I had days where it was flooding outside. I literally couldn't drive home. And the store has more people in it than I've ever seen in the history of any supermarket ever. And I'm like, okay. And the stores are just getting destroyed. There's fucking water pouring from the ceiling because it's flooding, and we're in a broken down supermarket. And high pressure, stress situations doesn't always have to mean like life or death. It can just mean there's a lot of things ticking through your brain. You're constantly problem solving. You're constantly like every second, you're like a new problem comes up, solve it. New problem comes up, solve it. That's what happens when you build a bigger and bigger and bigger business. You get a lot of problems coming at you every single day, and you're constantly solving them. Plus, you're solving the problems of, I bought this card. How do I turn this card into more money than I paid it for? That's a problem in every single little card. And you get better at dealing with those because you do it more and more. But then dealing with that, plus business things, plus if you're actually starting a business, there's a lot of other things you have to do that the government would like you to do. And it gets more and more and more serious, I guess. I hope that helps. I'm not trying to push you off or say don't do it, but like don't seclude working because the extra money does go a long way. It does feel really good. Salvatore8857. Hi, I have a question. I'm working 20 hours a week, starting from scratch. How much would it be possible to earn each month? I can't answer that question. I'm sorry. I mean, I wish I knew how. Because the stuff you sell is depending on how much money you have. So, I don't know. You can work it out though. If you can work out the amount that you would like to earn and how much you would want to put into it. I don't have my whiteboard with me, but if you're selling items for $10 each and you're buying them for $5 each and you're making, let's just say $5 profit, screw fees, and you're working 20 hours a week and you can sell 10 of those items and ship them out in 1 hour every day, and it takes you 2 hours to organize all those things. So you got 3 hours of work in a day, 20 hours a week. That's roughly, and you're selling, 20 items, and you're making $5 an item. That's $100 profit, broken down, 3 hours, $100 profit. Not too bad. What did that? You get $33 an hour. It's not perfect. You might have a little bit more, a little bit less on some hours because postage, everything, depending on the item you sell, depending on how much profit you make, everything like that. But you can kind of work out how much you would need to be able to sell and list and everything like that. But this isn't something you should be asking yourself of how much you can earn each month, because it's not really possible to earn a lot of money doing trading cards. You can earn a lot of trading cards doing trading cards. You can get more trading cards, but money itself is not for me anyway, it's not really ever been the goal to like tell people to like, oh, you can earn a lot of money doing trading cards. There's a lot of ching in it. It's not about that. It's about like you really love trading cards, but you're broke as hell and you can't get more trading cards, so you're going to start selling the ones you have so you can be able to buy some more and then arbitrage and then buy some more and then sell them and buy some more and take advantage of this deal. This guy's got a collection. He needs money, buying it off him, moving it to this other guy that really wants this card. He's never had it before, and you got a great condition one. You hit a lucky grade on the 10, and then you're pulling from all these different problem-solving things in the quest to get as many cards as possible. Now, I'm sure these huge stores make a lot of money, Troll and Toad, everything like this, because they run huge operations, but like there's only several few of those. Plus, they're also most likely expanding their inventory year after year at insane rates because they're so invested in buying and selling so much. Christopher, EJ6XR. Hi, Steve. Great videos as always. How do you post Pokemon blisters and art set in the mail? Let's say you have 4 or 5 to post. So this is a great question. I actually have blister packs over here. Okay, so I'm back now. I don't really... Oh, did that track me the whole way? What the... That's crazy! Isn't that just crazy? Alright, that tracked me the whole way. You're following me. So this is a Lenticular Deoxys VS deck. It's not really a Pokemon blister, but it's pretty similar size. I put them in basically like a perfect fitting bubble mail type thing. I have multiple sizes of these bubble mailers around, just so perfect. I hope this bubble wrap's not making too much noise. I then put that in another bubble wrap. So it's super, super, protected. If anything happens, if I hit these corners, it's not really going to bend the deck because it's got 2 layers of bubble wrap. It's protecting the corners quite well. That's step 1. Step 2 is finding a box big enough to fit all your bubble wrapped blisters in the box, bubble wrap on top and bubble wrap on the bottom, and then enough bubble wrap maybe to go around the package once of like cards in the middle. I hope that helps. You just want to eliminate any chance of the outer edge cardboard being damaged with the blister pack. So I hope that helps. More is less when it comes to sending booster packs, sealed boxes, everything like that. Australian Blastoise, why are your prices on eBay extremely high? I'm sorry that you feel that way. But there are a lot of cards that I have listed and a lot of copies of them that I have listed high because I'm in no interest in selling them. And I have some collection cards up there and I really don't care. It's just a flex, really. I mean, it's a lot of effort put into this. It's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. A lot of like risk. So, when I pulled together what I personally think is a pretty impressive collection, obviously most people don't buy expensive things and just keep them to themselves. I want to show it off, and I obviously want to pull attention into my store as well to show that I'm more legitimate and to show that, hey, this guy has a lot of cool stuff. Oh, he actually has other cool stuff I want to buy. So there's a lot of reasons for it, but as much as I'd love to disagree, I'm just flexing with a lot of things, and I'm allowed to flex because I started from the zero and I got all this stuff. And maybe, I don't know, it might inspire people, that might not. Maybe they just think I'm a rich asshole, which I probably am, even though I'm not that rich really. I just have more than I need. So it just seems like I have a lot. Like, I don't know. Whatever. User MZ6ZY4K1W. Hey Stephen, I wonder why you sell on eBay and not on PWCC. I can't find information anywhere. That's a good question. Kim's making noise outside, so hopefully, I wonder if that picks up on this camera. So PWCC, auctions in general, is always going to amount to a lower price. Plus, if you send your stuff there, they have to ship out from the vault. And when I'm in Australia, most of my customers, or half of my customers, are in Australia, and half of them are international, but not all of them are in the US. So it's like everywhere. Maybe US is like 20%. So if they ship out from PWCC, it's going to be a lot of effort, and it's not a great idea to keep my stuff there. In saying that, fixed price PWCC is not a bad way to sell things. You can put it on eBay, and for higher priced items, you can negotiate, and then you can kind of tell the person, hey, if this is in the vault, it's going to take a while to get to you. Plus, yeah, it's the main reason I'm also in Australia. To send my items to PWCC, it's incredibly expensive. It's very risky because it's international shipping, and it's not really worth it to send 5,000-10,000 graded cards there. But I've sold over $200,000 worth on PWCC, and I do recommend using it as a selling platform. Just have to realize what you're sending there might not end in a higher price than it would on eBay, but they do it all for you. So there you go. GL Wood, what are your favorite Pokemon from each generation? Wow. So Generation 1, that's Pikachu. Generation 2, that is Ampharos. Generation 3, I would probably go with... Oh, Generation 3. Probably Rayquaza. Rayquaza's a good one. That's Gen 3, right? Generation 4. Don't even know which one that is. Is that Diamond and Pearl? Is it Diamond and Pearl? I think so. I'm not good at this. Piplop's pretty funny. I don't think Piplop's Diamond and Pearl. No, it is Piplop, Diamond and Pearl. Gen 5, that's Black and White. Maybe? Maybe Black and White? Tepig's pretty funny. He's a big pig. Gen 6 is X and Y, I guess. Would have to be. X and Y Pokemon. Probably Mega Charizard X. I think it's awesome. And Sun and Moon. Man, I don't know. Solgaleo is pretty cool. Not gonna lie. Sword and Shield. I don't really know. I don't know if it's Scarlet Violet. I hope I got those gens. I probably missed a gen somewhere in there. I'm not very good with that kind of stuff. Cool Trainer Carl. Hey, bro, you all good? Haven't seen you posted in like 7 days. Miss you, man. Miss you too. I don't know why I posted that, but I copied that in. But yeah, I'm very sorry to the people that, worried about me, left those comments. I'll reply to all of them eventually. But yeah, thanks for that. Julian Montoya, 2750. Steve, in terms of submitting cards to PSA, are you currently utilizing the 65 business day service? No. I only really use bulk with PSA as I'm not in a rush to sell, so I just want the lowest price possible when it comes to grading. When determining the number of cards to send for grading, do you have a systematic approach? Are you using specific methods to calculate the quantity based on your return rates? Ooh, that's a good question. So going forward, I don't have any cards at PSA at the moment. Going forward in the future, I will be sending in a certain amount of cards, and then when the majority of them are back, I'll send more. I'm not sure what that is, but I'll probably be doing like 300 or 400 at a time. PSA looks like they're taking around a month, maybe 2 months to do grading. So, I'm just not interested in doing that much like on-demand work constantly because, you get the cards back, you pay for them, they're sitting there, you have to deal with them. I want to focus more on like the single card selling store this year, as I just find that more fun at the moment. I don't really care too much about grading like crazy because, I have thousands of graded cards. I'm happy for them to sit there. And I do think personally we are going into a it's hard to explain. I'm not saying it's going to be hard to sell, but with the amount of competition that has entered the market where people are selling graded cards, the amount of people buying is considerably less than there ever was in the past few years. So I'm just not interested in competing because I don't really need to anymore. But I will be still grading some good cards here and there. I'm not going to not grade an expensive rare card or a card that could be $500, $1,000 PSA 10 just because other people might have it already graded. I'm just probably not going to grade like 100 to 200 copies of, a $20 promo just to be able to be the lowest list price and push my feedback up. I'm just not interested in that anymore. I tried that. I loved it. I might try it again in the future, but something like that. I've noticed a focus on your eBay store rather than your name brand site. Given the processing fees on personal site, are you actively exploring strategies to drive more traffic to it? If so, what approaches have you found effective, and have you encountered challenges in increasing traffic to your own platform? So let me just start off with this. My website was only created because it was way easier to list a mass amount of items on my website and then export them to eBay than it was to just list on eBay. Back in the day, eBay had like a 1,000 item cap if you had a store, and then you have to pay 20 cents extra to list an item, insertion fee. And that just simply wasn't good enough because I only really had $1 to $10 items to sell, and I had thousands listed already, like thousands of, listings available. So I pulled everything down from eBay, made a website, and then made it so it only listed things on eBay that were above a certain price point. So then people could go to my website after they maybe buy from eBay. I gave them a business card, and they go on my website and they can buy all the cheap $1 cards that I had listed rather than having them taken up listing things. Plus, the website was easier to list. I could do bulk CSV stuff, and it was way easier just to like generally deal with it. These days, eBay's listing tool is just incredible than what we had to deal with in the past and everything. So that's the reason why I had the site. I don't even know if I really want to keep it moving forward, but the price that it costs me and how much everything is offset by the amount of fees it does save me. My website costs maybe around $2,500 to $3,000 per year because of all like the apps that I have and the subscription and the fees and whatever. So I guess the fees are added in because of the amount I sell from it, but it is saved by the difference of actually getting a sale because the price is lower than eBay, and then people don't get the forced customs, and then it's also, lower price for the people, I guess. So that's why I have it. So it was only really ever an extension to be able to push people push my items to eBay and then give the people that have the forced customs. Because a lot of my customers, at least when I first started, were like UK based, and then in other countries where they have forced, like Europe based, other countries where they have crazy custom fees on eBay. So I made the website so they don't have to get those. And, whatever, it's custom tax avoiding, but I don't care. Maybe they'll come for me. Maybe they won't. So, answering your question, my main focus is on the eBay store because that is more important to me. Personally, I think it's always going to be more. No matter how much I ever spend on my own personal site, I will never get better exposure than on eBay. I don't think anyone's ever going to get better exposure than on eBay, because eBay is incredible. My website is in every listing that I have on eBay. My name is the same, everything. I have not ever done ads or anything for my website. I still get 1,000, 1,500 people a month. Even now, I haven't even posted any new items in 3 months. Like, I have taken a very, very lazy and laid back approach with it, and it's just been used as a back end for eBay. If they find it through eBay, they get a better price. That's pretty much it. I have never tried to increase traffic to the website. If they buy on eBay, I get the same price regardless, because I just have their fees added on. It's not that big of a deal. I've never really tried. Maybe this YouTube channel has been a big increase for the website, but I haven't really delved into those metrics too much. And as much as I'd love to do all that, I've said it many times, I'm happy with my current position, and I don't want it to get harder, and I don't want it to get easier. I'm happy with my current position. Link 2893. I didn't really give you an answer. What approaches have you found effective? Making a YouTube channel, I guess, is incredibly effective for a website. Showing that you're actually a real person has a huge benefit. I have people placing multi-$1,000 orders from me because they see me, they see that I'm a real person, they see that I talk, they see that I live and breathe this stuff, and they're comfortable with spending their money to me. I think if you're ever going to make a website or make a business or anything, you have to get over the hurdle of showing your face. You have to get over the hurdle of maybe looking stupid. Look at me. I don't know how long I've been doing this video for, and I'm tired as shit, and I don't look very good at the moment. So, but it's fine. Who cares, right? Who cares what we all look like? I'm about to go to Japan, and I'm going to be vlogging, holding the thing up here, looking at myself, being stupid. It's not a big deal. It happens. But that would be my main advice, is to actually attach your face to it, and then, take the Instagram serious, make a Facebook, everything like that. Hold off on paying for ads or anything like that until you establish the base and you've actually tried all those things, making YouTube, showing yourself. Link 2893. Would like to know when sending expensive items overseas, what value to declare it on the customs form. I've been sending single cards overseas valued around 320 Australian dollars, and I get nervous declaring the value. I can definitely understand that. Look, this is going to sound pretty bad, but unless you're paying for insurance, the value declaration, I'm going to go to fucking jail for this. So I go, probably not, but it doesn't mean that much. When I send something that might be like $1,000, $2,000, I'll put $150, $200 marketed like sale of goods, and then just put like child gift set as the description. Takes a little bit of attention away. If you put $500, $1,000 in trading cards, maybe a rogue postal employee will be like, oh, that's easy. Because I'm sure they can easily take stuff and get away with it pretty easily, especially international stuff, because they know it's very, very, very hard. I don't know if the microphone can pick up that knuckle cracking. I hope not. It's going to be hard for the people to track it down. And by the time it is, it's so long in the future, and it's not a big deal. So at $320, I don't think you have that much to worry about, but just keep it on the lower end. I like to mark down low, sending to countries that have really, really strict custom enforcement, because it just gets it through customs really fast and saves your customer a little bit of money, makes them feel good, they get the item faster, benefits all round. Might go to jail, oh well, but don't stress it too much. Just know that I once had a PSA submission come back that was like $180,000, and it was like a lot, and it all arrived on the same day in multiple boxes, and let's just say the valuation was not there. I don't know. If something bad is going to happen, it's going to happen no matter what you do. Just don't stop it from forward. If it's the biggest deal you can possibly get, and losing the thing is going to be a large issue for you, look into the insurance. But that's why I try to tell people, start with the cheap stuff, move to 1 to 5 to 10 to 20, move up. A lot of people try to start selling expensive items, and it's very scary. Even these days, I sold one of these lenticular Vioxys decks for $1,000 the other day. It's still a little bit scary sending that in the mail. I'm used to it. I can deal with it, but it's still scary. AnyBase MFC. Can we see how you scan items into eBay and everything? Well, I actually have a video on how to scan items onto eBay and all my settings. So using my scanner, and a very budget-friendly scanner, the cheapest scanner on the market. I've used it for about 5 years now, still going strong. I opened it up the other day, and it's just sitting there in half, and I'm not sure if it still works, but it might still work. But yeah, I have a video on scanning. Check it out. Just Average Jeff. If you are a store, I think it would be kind of dumb to try and focus on hype products and what you could keep in order to sell at a higher price later. Just sounds like a way to lose your ass from under you super quick. Is this a question? I also think those who need an entire instruction manual with every single step start to finish with super vague starting questions are also just doomed to fail of being a successful business owner is having just doomed to fail. Part of being a successful business owner is having critical thinking skills so you can solve problems. If you can't solve problems, you won't be very successful in anything. That wasn't a question. I don't know, are you talking to me? Maybe I said something about selling hype items and then understanding how you can sell things quickly and propose to someone's question. I mean, look, first of all, asking questions is the only real thing to get started into anything. So don't tell people not to ask questions. Second of all, need an entire instruction manual with every step, start to finish. Sometimes is important. I bought this camera that I'm currently filming on. Before I purchased it, I probably watched around 3 to 4 hours of YouTube clips of how it works. Now that I have it, it is extremely easy to use, and a child could use this camera. But me, not being a camera expert or ever using something like this, or attaching a microphone, or editing the files, I've had to look up every single thing of how to match it, how to sync it together, and now it's all very simple stuff, right? I'm a business owner. I don't know if I'd call myself successful. I've sold $4 or $5 million worth of stuff, and I'm currently, probably have that in stuff also. I don't know. Does that make me successful? Who knows? But I have critical thinking skills. I like to think, and I'm still going to look up a guide on how to use this stupid camera because I'm smart and I don't want to waste my time. If there is someone that is out there either putting the content out there to offer advice or putting things out there that they can ask a question to and someone can just give you an answer like I offered in the video that you're responding to, I don't think it's that bad for them to ask the question when I'm offering to answer the question. So, yeah, if you can't solve problems, you won't be very successful in anything. I don't think that's true because you can always get better at solving problems. Everyone can get better at solving problems. I can get better at solving problems, and I'm sure you could probably have a few things you can get better at. So yeah, it's easy to be critical and it's easy to be negative. I fall into it all the time. I look at people and I go, okay, that guy doesn't have this. Let's not be smart. There's probably people out there with better than me in everything. I've just been doing it longer, and maybe people will think I'm better because I have more. But there might be people I know people that are on the come up 1, 2, 3 years that are better than me in every way possible, and I've helped them, and they are surpassing me. I will see it in the next year or two. Does that mean I'm better than them because I currently have more, or I'm more successful, or I have more critical thinking skills because they haven't made as many mistakes as I have made and they haven't learned from it? I mean, look, this wasn't a question, but I added this in for a reason and printed this out onto this. But yeah, it's pretty silly to give advice that's just negative. But I'm rude to some people too sometimes when they message me. So maybe you saw a message or you saw a question that you felt the need to be rude to, Mr. Just Average Jeff. TCG Denmark. Where's the new videos? And on eBay, do you use promoted ads and the ads offsite through store? So I use promotions. I don't use promoted ads. I use promoted listings. I haven't tried out the new promoted ads or ads offsite. I'm not interested in it personally. I'm just paying more money just to TFC if something works. Maybe in the future, but a lot of my things are just niche, and if you push them out to people, they're not really going to force a sale. It's just going to, let people see it more. It's not going to force a sale. When someone actually wants what I have, they'll be looking for it. They're not going to be, well, this chair's getting old. When someone wants what I have, they're going to be looking for it. They're not going to be like looking online and seeing it in an ad and being like, oh, I must buy that Pokemon card. But I use to the promoted listings, I guess, is what I want to say. Oh, mouth getting dry. Mr. Plain underscore. Do you think there is money to be made? Maybe I should stand further away. Do you think there is money to be made in grading modern base cards? So I can answer this multiple ways. I mean, yes. That is not modern. I can't use that as an example. Oh, almost got me there. You got to think about it. Turn it around. Put your ideas in the pants of the person who actually has the money that you're wanting to be spent with you. So let's just imagine that you are now someone who wants to buy a graded modern base card. What would you be looking for? If some person was to actually exist, in your theory, do I think there is money to be made? There are people who make money in ways that we can't even explain on this channel, and if I mentioned them, I'd get taken down. So there is money in everything. You're buying the modern base card. The person who sold you that is making money, whether it be Pokemon directly, the store that Pokemon sold the pack to, or someone who opened the pack and selling the bulk now to you. There's money in everything. So let's just remember. Let's take the negativity out of it and just think about it objectively. I'm going to think of someone who's like, oh, I'm Steve. I want a graded modern base card. Okay, let's think to ourselves. What's the newest set that came out? Shiny EX. So I have some boxes over there. Shiny EX just came out. Let's think about it. Do I want a popular Pokemon from that set? Is there a modern base? When you say base card, I'm thinking you're saying non-holo, like a non-rare, non-shiny card, anything like that. There probably isn't going to be much demand for a random Pokemon that no one really knows the name. But maybe there's a non-holo Pikachu in there. Maybe there's a non-holo Charmander, Squirtle, Bulbasaur. Maybe in 151 there's some non-holo cards that are popular. Pokemon Go has a lot of great non-holo cards in there. I'm sure in Shiny EX, I haven't actually looked at the set before. I'm sure there are some great cards in there that someone would be desirable, but you have to go through the set. You can't just grade them all willy-nilly, because you need to sell the item for more than the cost of the item, plus the grading, plus fees. And then they have to pay shipping on top. So you have to think to yourself, okay, is someone going to pay $25 for this graded Ice-Q base card non-holo? Or are they going to pay like $25 at a minimum, because it's minimum. It's not maximum, it's minimum for you to break even on a non-holo Pikachu, a non-holo Charmander, a Charmeleon. Is there a popular artist they might be interested in? Are they gonna Kamiya artworks? They've always had great success for those. There's a bunch of other. I have friends. I have a friend. He loves Kimura. I have friends who love Sugimori. I have friends who love Arita artworks. It's just like, is it tied to something that's going to make someone want something? It's not just, I got these non-holos, I'm going to send them to PSA. It is based on, okay, is this thing decent once it's graded? Because graded and ungraded are completely different beasts. I sold a Jigglypuff non-holo black and white card the other day for $130, PSA 10. Now this card is just a Jigglypuff. It's a 50-cent, $2 single to buy it in a store randomly. I mean, it's 10 years old. It's not exactly modern, but what made that person want it? And then what made the sale actually happen? Why was the only one with it listed? Was it actually worth that much? And someone had one at 200 and mine was 150 as the lowest price. There's a lot of things you have to look for. That's why it's always good to look up the cards that you plan on grading online to see the graded prices right before you submit them. Not just think, oh, this card's Gem Min, let's have a look. There's a lot of things that go into it. So I probably gave that question too in-depth of an answer, but hey, that's what I'm here for, right? So we have so many pages left. Christian Ronnie Drums. Oh, Christian Ronnie Drums, like you're a drummer. That's a good name. What are your thoughts on different grading services like TCG grading in Australia, especially comparing to PSA, and why do you think it's more worthwhile to send it overseas to get graded? Also, as a new Aussie seller, is it cheaper getting it? It's cheaper getting it graded here, but I'm still unsure that's the best option. So I'm pretty sure I covered this a lot with the CGC versus PSA thing, but you're set. Like, I agree with PSA because I know the PSA cards have demand, not just today, but in a month, in 2 months, in 6 months, 5 years, who the hell knows? But I know that in general, PSA cards have the most demand out of any graded Pokemon card. CGC might be up there, whatever. But so if I'm paying $15 US to grade a card PSA, and I'm paying $8 to $9 US to pay to grade it in Australia, if the graded Australian card, you know, isn't even selling for like half the price of PSA, and that's another story and theory that we don't have time to talk about, because if that's demand, you can't really change that. You as a seller have to just understand that you want to go through the path of least resistance, and you are resisting yourself just by going through the cheaper option. You might be better off grading 30 cards through PSA than 100 cards through TCG grading. I'm not saying that TCG grading is bad. I've never used them, and I'm not sure how it works, and I'm not sure how fast they sell. But you might be better off grading 30 with PSA than 100 with TCG grading, just because the 30 might result in more profit and less work and easier sales than 100 cards at TCG grading that you're just going to eventually auction off and sell for less than the grading fee or a little bit more than the raw price. So I hope that helps you. You just got to look through it, look at it. But you could probably just find TCG grading sales and then find the PSA equivalent and see the difference. Don't look up your own cards because they might not all be graded, but just look at general card sales from each grading company and see the price difference. If TCG grading in a 10 is selling for just as much PSA in a 10, maybe try that card out if you have it. But if it's not, then you have to go path of least resistance. It is you're aiming to make money with what you're saying because you're worried about the price. You're aiming to make money. So you don't want to try the path that isn't going to make the most money the easiest way possible. I hope that helps. But I'd saying as a new seller, you should focus on selling raw cards so you can turn cards into money in the fastest way possible and not rely on a grading service. Because if your business relies on the outside grading service, shit hits the fan and the grading service doesn't give you your grades because you don't really know what to look for because you're brand new, you're going to be shit out of luck. I hope that helps. This thing's still recording down there. That's pretty good. VPs in Thavi. VP Sin Thavi? I don't know how to say the word. I'm sorry. Love your content and informative videos. I did have one question. What's your opinion on buying and selling on Golden? I have friends who get their cards graded by PSA. Instead of having them shipped back, they have PSA Vault and they sell the cards through PSA partner Golden website. Personally, I've never sold anything through Golden. Every auction house is generally on average, there are outliers, generally on average, they are going to sell for a lower price than if you just sold it yourself on eBay, Instagram, etc. But they don't have to do anything. So it depends what you're doing in life and how much you value that. If you're a nomad, you travel around, you don't have a place to call your own, you can't get the card shipped back, they do everything. All you have to do is physically buy the cards and eventually send them in. That's an incredible option. For some people, that might be worth 50% of the sales price. For some people, they could move that dial to 75 to 80, so they only grade more popular stuff. That sells for less, but it's still enough to be profitable for them. So it just depends on what you have. Now, all the auction houses, pretty much, to me, I just address them the same. I think PWCC is the best for graded Pokemon cards, but there might be some graded Pokemon cards that do better on Heritage and Golden. In saying that, I've never sold on Heritage or Golden, and only through PWCC, so I might be a little bit biased. Beefy Taco CS. Do you think it's better to invest in a 30 to 50 card grading run or use that theoretical grading fee money to increase my pot a few more times by doing profitable flips over the same 3-month period? See, this is talking about what I just mentioned earlier to Christian Ronnie Drums, about how it might be better to put the money in the raw cards rather than wasting the money on grading. Being Canadian makes it rather expensive to do any type of grading run, so I figured the cost will be somewhere around 20 to 25 Canadian per card. Every card has been purchased at the 9 or lower value, so I'm not too concerned about that, but rather the chance I barely gain any profit in the majority end up as cost of value. So this is just something you're just going to have to do it once and then learn over time. A bulk grading submission is $20 through PSA. So maybe it might be more expensive per card than doing 20 than doing 40, 50, 60 because of shipping. But maybe just get your 20 best and do it. And try not to do 30 to 50. Do the 20 best. And then when you have that seed money from those sales, you can put that into more grades rather than putting your current money into more grades. And remember, you can't sell the cards raw, obviously, over the 3 months, but you don't get charged the grading fee until they're finished. So it's not too much of a waste of money to go grading. You just don't get to sell the card and then go on once again. Dylan Darkworld 2. Dylan Darkwold 2. Hey Steve, I've got a question. How do you recommend shipping high-end with insurance? I just shipped an $8,000 card through USPS and I could only put $5,000 insurance maximum and it cost me $120. You got any better methods? Appreciate your content. Looking forward to future videos. Merry Christmas. Wow. So, shipping high value items. Look, I'm the worst person to ask, man. I sold an item for like $35,000 2 weeks ago, and I put $200 on the box. I choose FedEx. I choose the fastest method. FedEx has been good to me. DHL is incredible. You know, insurance is not my forte, unfortunately. I don't have the option to even insure anything. And even if it was and it got lost, they wouldn't even pay me out. So it's just like, what the hell am I to do? In America, I think it's a little bit different. I'm pretty sure you can use like that ground shipping. So it has a guaranteed checkpoint, a locked checkpoint at each point. I forgot what is it called, but it's like the mega secure. It's the slowest, but it's also their theoretical safest. You could look into doing that. But in saying that, marking something value high just brings more attention. At shipping companies, there's millions of little brown boxes. The only difference between them is the values. No one's going to pick up a random box that just says whatever and $200. But if someone sees it and goes, oh, that is $5,000, that piques my interest. That's the only thing I can think to put in your brain. Now, it's not a method to be trying to scare you or anything, but if you're in America and you're sending 2 Americans and it's $8,000 and you're still paying $120 to insure and it's ship, I would highly recommend looking into how much a flight to that city cost. Because if it's $300 to $400 to fly there and $8,000 is a lot of money to you, it might be worth your peace of mind. Personally. Are we still recording here? I think I am. That's pretty good. 52 minutes. Wow, that's crazy. I wonder how much is left on this. Does this thing run out of battery? Does this run out of battery? No, it doesn't. It just doesn't run out of battery. Reiki Healing Music. Ask Steve a question. Hi, how do you store your cards and manage the inventory via software or spreadsheet? I use my website, and my website has a great way for me to track everything. I can pull it all. I can look at everything and really good analytics and just see what's my highest inventory, what's lowest, what's out of stock, and how to manage it. They use Shopify, and it's really good. Lastly, when you buy bulk, most are not gradable or worth grading. What do you do with the ones that are left over? Well, I list them as singles on eBay and I sell them. That's what I do with them. Or I just chuck them in a box. Shorty's Collectibles. Do you think Japanese Master Ball Hollows are the modern Gold Stars? Definitely not. But some of them might be more desirable than other Master Ball Hollows. So, Gold Stars, 2 to 3 per case back in the day. No one was really trying to buy 50, 60, 70 boxes of any EX set. As far as I'm aware, I wasn't back then, but in 2015, I still didn't see anyone do it. I have 100 boxes of 151, and it's very easy to get 100 more if you're the biggest bidder, highest bidder. If you are trying to get in 2015, 2012, 2010, 100 boxes of any EX set, it was just cumbersome. Like, I don't even know. Maybe some store was clearing them out, or maybe the prices were higher than retail back then. I don't know. But it's just simply so much easier to get more product these days. Plus, they're 1 per box for the Master Balls, compared to, 2 to 3 case for Gold Stars, as far as I'm aware. But in saying this, the Master Balls, there's a few Gold Stars per set. There's 160 something Master Balls. So some of them you've already seen the effect on what that has. more popular Pokemon, Pikachu, Charmander, Charmeleon, whatever, Bulbasaur, they all get a little bit more expensive than the other ones. I haven't really kept up to date too much with Master Balls. I'm going to go to Japan. I'm going to try and buy as many as I can because I love the Master Ball Hollows. So much breathing. But they are not the modern Gold Stars. But it is special to see a full reverse set with one per box of how it looks when you get the popular cards and then the least popular cards. I love the Master Balls, and I hope they add them to a few small sets. They're not the modern Gold Stars, but a few of them might be comparable. It's just not the same. Because if you want Pikachu Gold or Pikachu Master Ball, you could probably get as many as your heart desired if you have infinite money. If you want Pikachu Gold Star, that's a bad one to use, I guess, in Japanese. But if you want like a Rayquaza Gold Star, even back in the day, that was still considerably expensive, but you can't just go on random websites and just multi-quantity 10, 20, 30, 40. You'd have to find one individually over and over. Whereas now, it's a lot easier to find multiple copies of these modern chase cards. I hope that makes sense. My throat is dying, but we must carry on. When listing singles on eBay, do you think it's better to have each card listed individually, or are all cards from a set together in a listing that customers can select from? So I've used the multi-quantity listing set type thing that I think it's called variations, many times over with one set. And I've always had pretty good results. But I've only ever really done it on like a new modern release where there are people looking for a lot at one time. I personally prefer, with an older card like, Team Rocket base Japanese, or that kind of like, WotC cards, any older card, it's just better to have single listings. It might be more cumbersome for the buyers to find that, but for me personally, I think it expands your reach a lot more. But just try both. I mean, if you have set cards, you can just make the variation listing, put 5 quantity on all of them, and then make 165 individual listings. Yeah, it's going to take a lot longer, but you're going to be able to take a bigger slice of the pie when you have 166 listings of the same set. If it's a 165 card set, you have one listing with everything and then one listing for everything, and you might be able to see for yourself. I haven't done that personally, but if you were looking to literally dominate, that could be the best move forward. This is totally not Liam. Oh, actually, never mind. That was your name. There's a question here. I don't have the name. I'm sorry. I think it's Earns Collects. I think that's you. Hey, Steve. Hope you're doing well, and welcome back. And looking forward to Ask Steve episode 15. I think this is your... I should have double-checked. I'm sorry. I was just wondering what your thoughts are on the current massive decline in interest and price for Japanese Pokemon, especially graded cards. Has this impacted your store? Personally, it's been really difficult to make sales. No, this is Matt. Hello, Matt. Sorry, Ernst. This is Matt. Personally, it's been really difficult to make sales for me lately, and when I auction instead as a last resort, I'm making losses. Well, honestly, I haven't really kept up to date too much. I haven't bought really anything in 3 months. I've been pretty just out of it. This week, I've been getting back into it, looking at things, starting to do some more work. I needed a pure detox because I ran out of inspiration. I ran out of pretty much goals, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Now I'm getting my inspiration back, and hopefully by going to Japan, it's going to be better for me. But I didn't realize there was such a large dip. I'll have to look into Terapeak and everything later on. Me personally, I mean, I've sold a bit. I haven't really noticed too much. Like I've sold, compared to like my months where I'm averaging 100,000, I'm definitely not doing that. I think I'm around 100,000 for the last 90 days, just on like website eBay. But I haven't listed any cards since like mid-October. Any graded cards. I haven't updated any prices. I ran a sale to like update prices that way, but I'm always running sales as a way to sell stuff. So I can't really give too much insight to this because I just don't know. But my single card store is going pretty well. Still plenty of orders going. I want to focus on that a lot more this year, because monetary wise and time wise, it's way worse. Selling $2, $3, $4 cards for me in my current position. But God, does it bring me joy. Like I just fucking love it. So who cares about that? I'm going to try and find ways where I can get more up faster in the way that I like doing it. And yeah, I wouldn't say my credit card sales have been incredible. I don't know where my phone is. Otherwise, I'd pull it up and show it. But I'm happy with the current momentum that thing is going in. It's going to be less. I mean, just in general, we've been in a general downtrend for months. If it wasn't for that crazy Japanese spike last year, we would have seen this come very, 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 like much sooner, I guess. But yeah, I mean, make sure this is still running. This is just the general trend. So in 2017, 2018, 2019, we saw this a little bit. And this is why I always recommend to people, this is not a full-time thing. You cannot control the outsides. Even for me personally, I'd be better off right now going to find work, finding a job, even $70,000 to $80,000 Australian salary, rather than spending the 8 hours each day that I would at that job working. The only difference that I have with myself is that I just don't need to. I'm very lucky. But I don't need to now, but maybe in 5 years, if we keep going on a general downtrend like you mentioned, I might need to. I would just need to adjust my lifestyle if I did not want to go back to work. But yeah, it's a lot of things you got to think about. Things not ready to think about, but a lot of things you got to think about. So I think that's it. We're done. I hope this video isn't completely ruined. I only just realized that I should have recorded this on my computer at the same time. Isn't that funny? I should have recorded this on my computer at the same time in case this came out terribly. But my name's Steve. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about. Am I sweating under here? Can you see that? No, you can't see that. Oh, it's too good of a shirt. That's why. My name is Steve. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about my plans for Japan. If you want to see 14 videos of 14 days, of 1 day each, going to different stores, trolling around Japan, eating lots of Nutella, having fun. I'm not one for vlogging. I'm not one for, just showing myself constantly, but maybe I might try it out. I might like it. Who knows? My name's Steve. This is me signing off for the 7th time. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next episode.